we envisaged that Sisters project was divided into 5 different stages. So we have proposed a challenge in each of these 5 stages. First, the primary producers do not have a convenient, open, and easy-to-use tool to sell their fruits and vegetables that do not cover the commercialization standards. Secondly, a significant portion of the food waste is occurs during the logistic phase, which takes produce from production to market due to inefficiencies in the handling and transporting. Thirdly, despite the ultimate and global goal of reducing the amount of packaging in food, the truth is that some goods are required to be packed to conserve to keep its freshness. So we at Sisters propose a new bio-based packaging suitable for replacing conventional materials that will be more sustainable. In the marketing phase, we have the challenge that overstocking is frequently observed at the supermarkets, leading to waste when goods are unsold. And particularly, this is very costly when it comes to fresh foods. Today, consumers expect better sustainability credentials for choosing their supermarket. And finally, according to the European Commission, up to 10% of the EU's annual ton of food waste is linked to date labeling. So this is an important issue that we need to approach. As Sisters, we are approaching these challenges through 5 different solutions. The first one is the short chain platform, in which farmers could sell their discard production, favoring local economies, providing access to nutritious food. Secondly, we are going to develop 2 smart containers, the store box and the pack box, that are being designed to diminish food losses during transportation and to maintain bulk and packed food in ideal conditions during the transport and storage, thanks to new accurate sensors allowing immediate reaction. Third point is to improve the preservation of the food quality, thanks to a bio-based and home-compostable packaging solutions that will be created, reducing the negative impact in the environment. The fourth, as you can see, the seal of excellence will be produced guidelines and labelings for the retailers, so they can inform to the consumers about the impact that the food that is discarded can have in the environment. And finally, we also will be having a QR labeling codification, as I said, to produce this not only the guidance for the retailers, but the information to provide to the consumers. So today we are going to learn a little bit more about the 2 first developments, the first 2 points, because we have 2 experts participating at Sisters. So we, after a little bit, you will be learning a little bit more about it. And thank you everybody for your attention. If you want to find more information, you can do it at the project website and Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And now I will leave the floor to my colleagues Andrea and also Lara, that will be giving you some recommendations for the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina. A great project you have in your hands. I don't know, Andrea, if you would like to explain to the audience the Menti platform, where they can answer questions.
I'm going to share my screen real quick so you can have an overview at what Mentimeter looks like. for when we move on to the interactive questions session. Carolina, can you allow me to screen share, please? Okay. Okay, so this is how Mentimeter looks like. So when the time comes that we have the interactive question session, you will be able to go to menti.com and enter this code so you can access the interactive presentation questions. Or if you would like, you can also use the QR code. But we will move on to this part of the workshop later as we present some other speakers. But just so you know, this is how it looks like. This is all on my end. Lara, you can move on.
Okay, so we now move on within the production stage. It's time to meet the CUPID project, cooperation of bioeconomy clusters for bio-based knowledge transfer via innovative dissemination techniques.
Cannot hear Lara.
Sorry?
We couldn't hear you. Now it's fine.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. I was saying that we are moving into the production stage, and it's time to meet the CUPID project, a cooperation of bioeconomy clusters for bio-based knowledge transfer via innovative dissemination techniques in the primary production sector. We give the scenario to Susana Rivera, Quality and Innovation Department of Spanish Agri-Food Cooperatives and coordinator of the CUPID project. Please, Susana, I'm going to make you presenter now, and you can share your information.
You see my screen now?
Yes, but in presenter mode.
Oh. Now it's working well?
No, the same.
The same?
I think you have to press duplicar. Where you went there, yeah.
Ah, yes. Can you see now?
At least my screen is frozen now.
No, that's good.
Oh,
That's fine.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I could start, or could I start?
Yes, please.
Could you see my screen well or not? I cannot hear you.
Yeah. You can start. It's all good.
Ah, okay, thank you. Sorry for the. I'm going to start. Thank you for inviting us to present the project today. As you know, I belong to Spanish Agri-Food Cooperatives, which is the entity coordinating this project. This project is a project cooperation into the bioeconomy framework. It's a short project which is executed during 30 months from January 2021 to June 2023. We are 10 countries working in across Europe, 11 partners, and working together with the framework within the bioeconomy. Cupid project have an overall objective. In fact, it has three words: mobilization, stimulation, and increasing the competitiveness of the primary producer across the European Union. So the overall objective of this project is to mobilize European primary producer to stimulate the adoption of new business models with the framework, with the point of view of the bioeconomy, to increase their competitiveness. In this sense, we have three key concepts. One of them are the core of this project, which are the Cupid bioeconomy cluster. In each of the 10 countries working in this project, which are working in the selection of the success story showcases, which are real stories for the primary producers in the European Union to be shown as good examples to follow. And the third key concept is these ambassadors that we are selecting to visit this real experience in the framework of bioeconomy. But why we design Cupid? Because in fact we have in front of us some interesting challenge, even taking into consideration that the primary producer are protagonists of this panorama in terms of bioeconomy. They play a fundamental role in the bioeconomy, but they are facing some challenges which are very important for the involvement of these primary producers, which is, for example, the poor cooperation and the inadequate transfer of knowledge, because in fact they don't know which is the bioeconomy. They don't know the definition of the bioeconomy, and they are now involved in a field that they are investigating on, and they need overall collaboration for obtaining this knowledge in bioeconomy. And in fact, there are a lot of opportunities to know, but in fact they are lack of knowledge and lack of real experience to show to these primary producers. So in this sense, we designed Cupid to hamper this challenge. So Cupid is focused in in providing solutions to the primary producers through real cases, but with the framework of an innovative strategy. For example, we have a very strong communication strategy to foster this involvement of the primary producers. We design a 4-level knowledge transfer strategy according to this figure. In the level 1, we have these showcases, these success stories to be shown to these primary producers in the European Union. After these showcases, the primary producers in the level 2 have to gather the lesson learned through these visits and spread the knowledge to other primary producers through workshops. In the level 3, we have the interactive dissemination through the interactive channels to other stakeholders in the framework of the bioeconomy. And in the level 4, we have this knowledge for the public in general. So in this sense, we are going to spread the knowledge in terms of bioeconomy to a lot of stakeholders, but also primary producers in the European Union. In fact, to giving the reality closer to the primary producer and emphasizing this term of real, because the Green Week in this year have the framework of the reality came to reality to the European Green Deal. we are working in this way because we are working with 10 experience showcases through 10 real visits. We have visits 6 of these showcases so far in terms of different sector across Europe. As you could see in these slides, from olive oil, dairy, hemp sector, cereal, sugar, vegetables, biomass pellets, and in the coming weeks we are going to visit other showcases about poultry, biogas, wine, and dairy. So in fact, with these showcases, we could have the most important conclusions about these business models in terms of having the opportunity of tasting these showcases. These showcases are considered by us as 10 good building blocks in the transition to a sustainable economy, because as you can see in these slides, these 10 showcases are working in different trends in the bioeconomy, from bioenergy to added value byproducts to CO2 emission reduction, biofertilizer, etc. We would like to show you the conclusions of these works in the framework of this project, European project, because we think after some assessment of the first conclusion and of the first steps of this project, because we have now in the first part, on the middle part of this project. So as a conclusion from this evolution of this project, we should emphasize that the success in the bioeconomy is very close to the development of efficient and profitable circular business models into the production sector. From biomass to bio-waste to bioproducts to innovation. In this sense, we think that there are 5 key factors for primary producers to succeed in the bioeconomy. From the 1 to the 5, all of them will be important to be a good primary producer in terms of the bioeconomy. In this sense, in the first position, in the first place is the intention of the main goal of the primary producer that should have in terms of increasing the value of their business byproducts and waste streams by creating circular zero waste business models. This is the good or the first idea about this succeed. The second one could be the collaboration, because we have seen that the cooperation should be very crucial in terms of develop a new business model. So we should explore new connections in our value chains. A part of this, for the development of these new business models in terms of bioeconomy, we should look for public or private funding opportunities, review also our innovation competence in our teams, and at the end, sorry.
So, Susana, sorry for interrupting, but you have completed your time, so please try to move on. Thank you.
Yes. And for the last one is to evaluate the introduction of innovative technologies. So that's all. Thank you so much. I am at your disposal for any doubts.
Okay, thank you, Susana. I'm sorry again for interrupting. This is a recall for the audience. Remember that you can make any question via chat along this workshop. Well, now we get back to Sisters Project. which also manage different actions within the production stage. Sisters proposes the configuration of a modular, easy to use and broadly applicable short chain platform, APP, for promoting direct sales of the producer's surplus food to local consumers, which will provide a portal to primary producers to directly sell to consumers their fresh produce that do not meet the standards for their regular commercialization. So the CEO of VM Services Web Agency, Laurent Cablat, will be in charge of this presentation. So please, Laurent, the floor is yours. Now you can share, now you can share your screen. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. As you said, I am one of the partners of the sister project, and I am running a French web agency, and we have 20 years experience in the field of e-commerce, and particularly in the field of agriculture and food products. Since aside of the agency, I also launched e-commerce website called bienmanger.com. We're selling French daily product in France and in Europe. And so for the last 20 years, I'm in this area of e-commerce and food. And about the project, our plan is to build, as you said, and as Carolina said earlier, our plan is to build a short chain platform app to help primary producer sell online the surplus and discarded products. And this component of the project participate to the bigger global goal of the sister project, aiming at reducing food waste in Europe. Why do we plan to work on this short chain platform app? Because as many studies have shown, 20% of the European food and loss and waste occur in the production stage and are due, as you all know, to problem of overproduction and surpluses and problems of ugly fruits or what we can call non-standard caliber products. And these cause a loss of revenue for producer and also cause environmental and social costs, since even to produce these overproduction products and ugly fruits, we need to use natural resources, water, soil, energy, and for nothing if the products are just discarded and thrown away. The challenge is to empower the primary producer and to give them tools, ready-to-use tools, to sell directly online easily their product to final consumer. For the final consumer, there is a market incentive with lower prices, and for the producer, it's a way to get direct revenue from these products that are elsewhere just thrown away in many cases. Our problem is that for primary producer, they don't have a very high digital knowledge and culture, and they are not ready to invest a lot in digital tools. For instance, building a website, an e-commerce website, is not that expensive today. On WordPress or PrestaShop, for instance, you can start running an e-commerce website for a few thousand euro, but even at that price, that we consider that is a barrier for a lot of small producers to start selling online. So our idea is to propose something at a lower entry cost, something that can be accessible at, for instance, a few euro per month. That is really easy to use with some contents already available online, so that, for instance, a producer of the most common variety of fruits and vegetables has not to take picture and start writing data on apples and potatoes and tomatoes. So he can have ready-to-use data available on the most common European species of fruits and vegetables, and an app ready to run in a few hours. And for the producer, that will be a solution to get the full price for its product. For the customer, why they could use these apps, because this app will propose lower prices and will also propose marketing message valuing the fact of consuming surplus food or discarded products. And we have also to have easy to use app with a strong emphasis on user experience on this app to have it easy, to make it very convenient and easy to use for customer. The technical solution we plan to implement is an app on SaaS mode, software as a service, that will be available in every European language. And we plan also to develop APIs to connect this app to other devices, other services. For instance, we consider that primary producer will mainly sell online their product, but some of them may want to send their stock of surpluses or discarded products to some retailers, to some transformers. And so there will be some APIs available on this app to help them connect and transfer the information on their available of their stock of fruits and vegetables available to other services, online application, e-commerce website. They won't be forced to use this API, but if they need to, they will be available on the e-commerce app. Today, we are at the beginning, at the early stage of the project system, and we are working on the different technical specification of this short chain platform app. We plan to launch a first version for next year, early on the second semester of 2023. And we will have a test phase of 1 year approximately with 100 European producers that we will be recruiting to start using this short chain app in a beta mode, and we will start learning with them how it works, if it is convenient for them, if it is convenient for the customer, and if it helps reduce the food loss and waste at their level. After this test phase, the idea is to open it to every primary producer in Europe that would be interested by this solution. I followed the presentation of Susanna about COPID. If some of the primary producers that are working in your project want to participate to the test phase, I think we can consider the application and present them this short chain platform app when it will be open for the test phase later on next year. The objective of the test phase is to check if this solution can help reducing by at least 20% the food waste and loss for the producer engaged in this test phase. And I think that's all I can say at that stage, saying that, yeah, we still are on the early stage of the project, but I will be happy to present you later on this solution when it turn live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurent. Just one thing, this is a message to the speakers. Please remember to put the presentation mode in your PowerPoints, because otherwise we are seeing different gray windows flying around.
Okay, sorry for that. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. So thank you, Laurent. Well, now we move to the logistic stage, in which Sister aims to optimize containers to transport food, implementing sensor kit to track food safety and in quality conditions. Pat Doody, head of advanced research at Munster Technological University, will be in charge of this presentation. Please, Pat, let us know a little bit more about these smart containers. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Lara. Okay.
Are you having any problem with the sharing? Because we cannot see anything. Hello? Pat? Are you there? Pat? This is quite strange.
There is a message on his profile saying that there is a problema of internet connection.
All right, okay.
A cosa de un ancho de banda bajo.
Okay, well, we can move on. Andrea, can we now make the question and answer round, for example?
Yes, we can move on to the interactive questions
Yeah.
while we
Then
wait
we
for.
will try to get back to Pat.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I'm going to share my screen then while we wait for Pat to connect. Can you give me the permission, please?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, okay.
Are you able to see my screen, everybody?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So basically, there are two ways of joining the interactive question session here in Mentimeter. You can either go to www.menti.com and enter the code that you see in the screen, or more easily, you can also scan the QR code. So start joining so that we can begin the session. The QR code is more easy, so you can like the two reaction icons here so that we can make sure that you're here and that we can move on. I'll just wait 1 more minute for the rest of the people to log in. So this is the first question. It says, in your opinion, what do you see as the main barriers for primary producers to enter the bioeconomy? First answer would be lack of knowledge. Second, lack of public support. Third, lack of cooperation with other stakeholders. Lack of practical examples that can be followed. So just vote for the one that, in your opinion, is the more correct. Well, it seems that all of you agree that it could be a lack of cooperation with other stakeholders. That's very interesting. So now I'm going to move forward to the next question. Do you think the bioeconomy can represent an opportunity for young primary producers? Yes, without a doubt. All currents indicate that we need to work in this direction. Yes, but only if there is a strong public support. Yes, although there's still a long way to go. No, not at all. Well, it seems that here in this question, you all agree that yes, without a doubt, and that all currents indicate that we need to work in this direction. Amazing. Thank you very much for participating in the interactive question session number 1. So now I'm going to stop sharing and we can move on to the rest of the workshop. Is Pat available right now?
I'm hoping.
Oh,
So
perfect.
sorry. When I went to share video, everything disappeared. So hopefully it will continue. I'll try and share now.
Remember to set the presentation mode. Perfect. Thank you, Pat.
Okay, can you see everything okay? Okay, so apologies for that. Name is Pat Doody, as was said earlier, and I'm the task leader or the work package leader for innovations at the logistics stage. Handling and transportation of fresh produce currently is generally done in standard transportation devices, and it's not ideal for the quality, I guess, of the food. And the challenge is to develop innovations that should and hopefully will reduce food loss of up to 20% through innovations in transportation devices plus the use of sensors. Background is in the IMAR Research Centre. We have about 40 research engineers, many industrial partners, and involved in projects at all levels, at national, European, and we're very much an applied research centre. We focus on a number of different technology areas, from data analytics to robotics and sensors and so on. So the objectives of Work Package 2 are to reduce food loss by optimizing containers initially and primarily. And in this project, we will be concentrating on two types of devices that have been termed bulk box, which is a pallet-sized container to be used for the transportation of produce such as fruit and vegetables. And the store box, which is a smaller container for transporting fish, meat, those types of produce. We will also be concentrating on developing an architecture for sensors so that we can measure the environmental conditions that these produce will be transported in to ensure that the ideal conditions are being created by the bulk box that has been developed and the store box containers. By doing that, we're hoping that the produce will reach their destination in the best possible condition, and therefore will have, if it's to a store, the longest shelf life, or if it's to other locations, that the produce will be in its best possible condition. The work plan in the project, it's quite significant. This particular work package has started in month 4 of the project, so just earlier this year. And the first tasks revolve around the container bulk box. Currently, the tasks are in 2 different areas. One is identifying the container. The container itself will be commercially available. The idea is to develop a lid that will have particular types of meshes which will control the atmosphere within the box and ensure that it's ideal for whatever produce is being transported. In parallel with that, we will be developing sensors to travel with the trials and the pilots, where we will be able to see the environment over a long period of time, or the period of the transport itself. Once those specifications and sensor kits have been developed, the piloting phase will begin its planning in month 10, and then the transports themselves will start next year. We'll then begin to concentrate on the store box, and then in the same way concentrate on the piloting of that. So the bulk box itself is, as I said, is a pallet size container. Currently, transports are done with in similar ways to the pictures on the right hand side, where you have stackable containers, and they're generally wrapped in plastics or pallet wrap, and it doesn't give the ideal conditions in order to transport most produce, particularly fresh produce. The idea is to see if we can find a suitable container that would carry similar amounts of produce, and where a lid can be developed with meshes on those lids that allows the produce within the container to breathe. The idea is that different produce will require different meshes and different environments. So we will be looking, as I say, at foldable pallets, and that task is moving very well. In order to evaluate the effectiveness of the developments in that area, then the idea is to develop sensors which will monitor the environmental conditions such as temperature, humidity, CO2, O2, and hopefully volatiles as well, such as ethanol, for example, which might be very important to measure, or is very important to measure for particular types of produce. The sensor platform will be based on a commercially available platform, which has been developed previously by one of the project partners, Rebus Labs, who are based in Switzerland. So they have sensors which are used for cold chain currently and pharmaceuticals. And we will be adapting that and building on it for the Sisters project. They currently have technology that uses 4G and 5G cellular, as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, low energy, GPS, RFID, satellite, and these technologies combined with the sensors will allow us to and allow other partners to analyze the data to make sure that the environmental conditions are being controlled suitably. Progress. At this point, we have a lot of the work done in terms of specifying the sensors that we need, as well as in terms of the bulk box itself. We have, and should I say, ATIP are the primary partners in terms of the bulk box work in terms of the lid, etc. So the requirements in that case have been done. The lid design has started. Molds and so on to adapt to the box has also started or will start in month 9, which is I think July. And it's hoped that the first prototypes will be ready in December, which is month 14 of the project. So the next stage of the project will be another interesting one, which is the store box task 2.3, which will start in month 13. We've worked previously with pallet containers with some of the partners in the projects in a previous project, Freshbox. And we hope to build on that. The store box will add some more challenges, because in those cases what we're hoping to do is develop smart labeling for these containers, which will be too small for the sensor platforms that will work, let's say, in terms of the bulk box. So there's going to be some interesting innovations there. Hopefully developing some visual labels and so on that might indicate freshness of the produce within the container. The first sensor prototype will be delivered in month 9 of the project, and as I say, planning of the bulk box trials starts in month 10. There's much work to do. As Laurent mentioned earlier, we are quite early in terms of the project. But certainly there will be some interesting innovations as time progresses. That's me covered in terms of that, and apologies for the technical glitch earlier on. I'll hand you.
Thank you, Pat. It's great to have you back here. At this time, we reached the halfway point of the event. And what about innovative and sustainable practices at processing stage? Let's introduce you to Mandala project. This project develops new adhesives with a dual functionality, easy to split, and barrier properties by incorporating thermoreversible coagulant blondes and radiation absorbing nanoparticles, which at the same time will enhance barrier properties. In addition, new polymer blends will, with increased bio-based and recycled content of film layers, are being developed. Marta Redrado, European Projects Coordinator at IT Technology Center, in charge of this presentation. Please, Marta, the floor is yours. Now you can share.
Thank you, Lara, for the introduction of the project and my introduction. I think I'm gonna stop sharing my video because the Wi-Fi here is not great and I don't want the computer to crash as happened to Pat. So just hello to everyone. As Lara said, I'm Marta Redrado from ITIP. I'm the coordinator of Mandala. And let me share the presentation with you. See if it works well. Let me see. Okay, can you see my screen? I hope.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So let me do a very short overview of what Mandala project is. It's not moving. Hang on, let me see it now. Now, perfect. So the project is almost at the end, so I can give you an overview of where we are at the moment. I'm gonna just introduce you to what's the problem, the solution that we proposed, a bit more detail on what Mandala is working, and some conclusions in the future. To understand Mandala, it's necessary to know the current situation in the world. Basically, the plastic, the recycling of the plastic is a major technological challenge. These days, only 14% of the plastic is recycled and 72% simply is not recovered at all. So just a question I throw to you, like, did you know that the food waste on the planet costs about $1 billion every year? We think that measures to reduce the food waste are global and include a lot of agents are involved, like, for example, the packaging, the manufacturing, packaging manufacturing. We think that selecting the right packaging will help minimize the environmental footprint of the products. The way that's happening is like by helping to prevent product losses. So packaging can play an important role in the manufacture of more sustainable products. The problems we are facing, they can be divided in three. The first problem is that the current multi-layer packaging, as you know, or otherwise I explain you, each packaging is composed by different layers, different polymers that they have their specific functions. So at the moment, we cannot separate those plastics. So the end of life, it cannot be recycled. So the end of life is either incineration or landfill, sorry. The second problem is that the current available biological waste treatment processes are not suitable usually for compostable bio-based packaging. And the third problem is that there's a lack of eco-design. As I said, we should think better about what's the design and what's the functionalities of the plastic packaging. And also there's a lack of decision making on the rerouting applied to this packaging. So in general, what we need is a solution that obviously uses sustainable raw materials, which substitute oil-based by bio-based materials. Also, we need an efficient recovery and separation of those materials. And finally, include reuse and recycling strategies. That we can see that every day they are getting more and more introduced in our countries. So in order to achieve that, in Mandala, we are working in three main areas. Eco-design, first one. The second one is developing dual functionality adhesives. On one side, easy to split, and on the other one, the enhanced varied properties. So they will solve the end-of-life problem. And the third area is demonstrating the valorization of the recovered materials and assessing the best end-of-life routes. To achieve these objectives and to make those solutions a reality, Mandala counts with 11 partners from 5 European countries, which have the complementary competencies. 7 of those partners are industrial, 1 is a food industry cluster, and 4 are research partners. In total, it's a 42 months project. It will end at the end of November of this year, and it counted with approximately 4.5 million euros budget. This slide summarizes all the steps that we've carried out in Mandala. So starting on the left, we started from commercial materials and adhesives. What we've done is two things at the same time. On one hand, we develop functional adhesives, which are thermoreversible and also enhance various properties. And on the other hand, we develop polymer film matrices with high content of bio-based and recycled materials. Once that was done, the polymers and the adhesive, they've been laminated, and we've done the lab scale, and now we are going through the industrial or semi-industrial scale of this process. So they were laminated, which means that they are put together, and of course they were tested, characterized, and then they were delaminated, they were separated. After the lamination, the polymers are able to be recycled and used again. And finally, while this process is being validated, what we are doing is also some studies in recyclability and ecotoxicity in different environments. And once we have this final laminated at industrial scale, what the end users of food and pharmaceutical industry, they are going to validate those materials and those that packaging with real products. Let me show you in the next slide. My computer wants to move. Yeah. So this is a selection of different products that are going to be analyzed and that they are potential candidates. As you can see, there's a few of food and a couple of pharma. The one we are going to validate in the pharma sector is the pill blisters. So all in all, what Mandala aims to is to decrease the use of virgin fossil-based materials. The target is at least 40%, while at the same time we increase the circularity in the economy. Also guiding and designing the Mandala products according to the Consumers Protection Directives. There are some rules to follow, like for example, REACH, related to the use of chemicals. There's another one related to toxicity. And of course, what we need to do, that packaging, what needs to do is to comply with the specific regulations for food and pharma applications. Also, what we are trying to do is to contribute to new regulations in terms of uses and value. And also the pilot plant and fabrication processes have to be developed in agreement with the corresponding and specific standards like the ones showed here, the ISO, the other ones. So just concluding very quickly, just a brief summary. Mandala will not only develop a new type of multi-layer packaging, but also will demonstrate that the delamination technology can be upscaled at pilot level and that can be applied to recoverable fractions, providing clean streams of materials for the biodegradation or recycling. Also, we are developing novel strategies to separate and recover these multi-layer materials, and this will pave the way to increase the recycling rate of strategic European sectors. The idea is that the applications of these delaminating strategies can be validated in other sectors, not only in the cosmetic and the pharma one. And that's all. That's a really, really brief overview. There's been a lot of work carried out in Mandala, a lot of difficulties, a lot of success. We are coming to the end, as I said, but there's still a lot of work to be carried out in the future. So these that projects like Mandala can become a reality and they can be applied in industrial environments. So yeah, if you want to know more, there's the website has some links, or of course you can contact me and I'll be really happy to explain you a bit more, or you can just ask some questions now in the question and answer in the chat. Thank you everyone for your attention.
Thank you, Marta, so much for your presentation. It was really interesting. We move on and we reach the last of our speakers. Time now to know more about the Agro-Bridge project in charge of building bridges between producers and consumers by empowering farmers with practical knowledge and support to rebalance their market position through new and sustainable business models based on short food supply chains. Enrique FDMU, I knew it was going to be difficult to pronounce. Sorry.
Okay.
Project manager at Qplan International Advisors and coordinator of the Agro-Bridge project. Now it's your turn, it's your go. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction and for inviting me to present the Agro-Bridges project approach. I'll try to share my screen now. Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll just try to move the various things from here. So my presentation today is entitled Agro-Bridges, Building Bridges Between Producers and Consumers, which is the overall aim of the project. I'm going to give a very brief introduction about Qplan, about the Agro-Bridges project and the consortium, the role of the project in the agri-food value chain, focusing on the short food supply chain concept and approach, which is the approach of the project, a little bit about the context, rationale, and challenges, what type of innovations, practices we implement in the project, also focusing a little bit on the idea of the regional multi-actor structures that we use to help us develop the results, and a little bit about what is the progress so far and some initial conclusions drawn from the project. Sorry, I have a problem sharing the slides. About Qplan, just very briefly, it's a development consulting company based in Thessaloniki, Greece. We are the project coordinator of Agro-Bridges. We are involved in many international projects and studies in several areas, including agro, energy, environment, food, health, ICT, open innovation, smart cities, transport, etc. We are in many projects the coordinators and the managers, but we also involved in some projects in support actions such as dissemination, training, networking, also exploitation of results, business modeling and planning, and also in some projects policy impact assessment studies. The Agro-Bridges project is a Horizon 2020 project that was approved under the call Connecting Consumers and Producers in Innovative Agri-Food Supply Chains. It is a coordination and support action. It has a duration of 36 months and it started in January 2021. So we are like halfway through the project. Funded by the European Commission Research Executive Agency with a total budget of nearly 3 million euros. The consortium of Agro-Bridges consists of 15 partners representing 13 countries or regions, and you can see on the map in green are the regions represented in the project, and in brown we also have some organizations in the advisory board from other countries and regions. What is the Agro-Bridges role in the agri-food value chain? As I already said in the introduction, is to build bridges between producers and consumers, and more specifically, to empower farmers with practical knowledge and support to rebalance their market position through new and sustainable business models based on short food supply chains. In our project, we have a working definition for the short food supply chain because there are, in various countries, there are a lot of different definitions. There is not any standard definition so far, but we have agreed that we're going to, as a working definition, for us, a short food supply chain is a supply chain that has as few links as possible between the food producer and the consumer or the citizen who eats the food. So then we have mutual benefits for the consumer, that there is transparency, greater value for the producer, but we also support and recognize the role of the intermediary if it has real value in the supply chain. So what is the context and rationale? The short food supply chains hold promising potential for sustainable development in agriculture, because they introduce economic, social, and environmental benefits. Regarding economic benefits, they help rebalance the market position of farmers and increase their income. They also help them better connect them with consumers and reducing intermediaries, and also meeting the societal demand of providing safe and quality local food, and all while also reducing the environmental impact of agriculture. Yet many farmers are still not tapping into their potential. So our challenge, the challenge of the project is to increase the impact on of producer and its in the market. So increase the impact on its position in the market. And this can be done by increased visibility, better knowledge of the market, better response to consumer needs and aspirations, sometimes higher prices for high value added products and services, so more income, efficient collaboration and networking, new partnerships, and new competencies and skills. So the practice we use in the project is to empower them by giving them practical knowledge and support to set up short food supply chains, better linking the producers with consumers, but also and procurers, so public organizations that do public procurement for food. Deliver a decision support tool, an online tool, to facilitate the selection of the most sustainable business model to be adopted in order to animate short food supply chains. In addition, we offer a combination of communication materials, training programs, event guidelines, and other digital tools that help them connect better with consumers and also with other actors in the value chain. And they will be all packed in one toolbox we call the AgroBridges toolbox. And also the main also very innovative practice that we use is to establish regional and international multi-actor structures for stakeholder-driven development, testing, validation, and rollout of the tools. Just a few more things about the regional multi-actor platforms. We have in each of the regions or countries that participate in the project, we create local multi-actor structures that consist of representatives from everyone in the value chain, from producers, intermediaries, consumers, academics, research institutes, public bodies, networks or hubs, and the civic society in general, like NGOs. And we engage them in all the stages of the project, from identifying what is the current barriers and the current situation, or even good practices, through interviews and co-creation, identifying certain good practice model types, and then developing the relevant tools, using their feedback, further on testing of the tools developed, validation, and also roll out by transferring the created knowledge through their networks. Now, the project is structured in 7 main work packages that briefly can be grouped in 4 phases. The first phase is analyze the current situation, identify barriers, and co-create solutions with the involvement of the multi-actor platforms. This stage has been completed. So the results, the conclusions from this stage are now used in order to develop the tools that are in progress. The first one is the tool for selecting the suitable sustainable business models, and the other are all the complementary tools for connecting and building capacity among farmers, consumers, and other actors in the value chain. And then, of course, after the development of these tools, we have the rollout, test, and validation of the toolbox in the corresponding regions, the 12 regions, but also beyond that. Just to highlight certain conclusions, we have a lot of results, but as the time is limited, I chose to show the important conclusion for us that we use while we now develop the relevant tools. We think that the short food supply chain models have potential, but there are certain determining factors that we've grouped in 4 groups. One is the consumer itself. So a determining factor for the success of short food supply chains is the consumer preferences, the transparency of information we deliver, traceability, engagement and education, guidance, and their awareness. So while we develop the tools, we focus on that. Another group of determining factors is actually collaboration between the various actors, between farmers themselves, supply chain partnerships, networks at the local level in order to create a sufficient scale for success. A third type of factors is the digital technology, which will help a lot if it's integrated in all short food supply chain models, and in particular for traceability, communications, marketing, and trade and order and delivery. And finally, the third determining factor is the actual skills and training of the producers themselves. So it's to promote training, reinforce the workforce, and in particular, increase the digital and marketing skills and competencies. That was very briefly. I'm at your disposal for any questions. Here there are some links to our social network accounts and the website where you can follow us and find more information about the project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Eleni, and thank you all the speakers for transferring such amazing researches ongoing. Each project specializes in different fields regarding agri-food industry. Today, we have learned more about the incredible innovations in logistics, new materials, new strategies that will definitely revolutionize the present and the future of this major sector in every country and every territory. Just let you know that we will be sharing the presentations in a few days. They will be available in the sisters' webpage, if I'm correct. So if you're interested, you can access to the presentation and watch again this workshop. Just to conclude, and before going to those question and answers, I would like to collect some questions in the chat. One is for Laurent. There is 2 questions for you. This is the first one says, why focusing in producers? And the second one, which do you think the use of an e-commerce app might be beneficial? I think you have answered privately, but you can use now this platform to speak publicly. So the floor is yours. Yeah, sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I answered, but I didn't check it was a private answer. So I will republish, try to republish to everybody. How can I? Para todos los asistentes. Sí. Can everybody see my first answer?
No, no, I cannot see.
Todos. No?
Laurent, maybe you could just read the answer publicly and so.
Okay. So why focusing on producer? Because 20% of the food loss and waste occurs at production stage. So we need to find solutions to address this part of the problem. And I can also add that on the sister project, there are other activities targeting later stage and the food loss and waste that occurs later on. But the short-chain platform targets on production stage, and the short-chain platform address this issue. And why an e-commerce app may be beneficial? I guess the best answer was the presentation from Erini and AgroBridges, because I couldn't say more. Because the producer get the full price of the product, they are not tied to retailer schedule. Sometimes the problem with surpluses is that producer have a surplus, but the retailer is saying that, okay, that's too late for me to sell this kind of product. Now I'm selling other products. And so the producers stay with its surplus. With short-chain platform, the producer sell online what he wants when he wants. And maybe the last answer is, but also AgroBridges underlines that, is that for consumers, there is a lot of good reason to prefer short-chain platform, and the first of them is the price incentive. They can buy at lower price. So I guess this kind of solution have a potential as of to sell regular products and to sell surpluses and discarded products. And by the way, I take advantage of having the floor again to propose Erini and AgroBridges maybe to get in touch, because I see a lot of complementary between the two projects, and maybe we can use some of your inputs in the developing of the short-chain platform app, and we will be happy to propose you to join the testing also of the app in later on when it will be available in, let's say, 1 year. But maybe some of the partner for AgroBridges could be integrated of this testing, and that makes sense for me from what you just presented.
Yes, I also made a comment on the chat before you said that, Laurent. I also see a lot of complementarity, and I didn't mention it on the presentation, but one of our work package is creating synergies and clustering with other projects. So I think, and this presentation was for me also to see, and I think we can create synergies between us, and we can participate, and you could also participate in our testing. So it'll be like
Okay, so
I agree with that. Your tool is complementary to ours, mainly because you are focusing on the waste part that we are not. So yes, thank you.
I think we have some more questions. Carolina, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we have one question for Susana. Do you think that the cooperation is the key to the development of the bioeconomy, and why?
Sorry, could you hear me? Yes, in fact, the cooperation, I think, is very crucial in terms of the development of the business models and from the 10th experience showcases that we are showing to the primary producers, I think that 7 of that 10 cases are cooperatives or cooperatives or with the leadership of some cooperatives. For example, in the case of the French showcase, this adventure of this showcase started in the 50s because there was a cooperative, a sugar cooperative, trying to take advantage of their residues or byproducts, and they thought about create a kind of ecosystem. And after this, a lot of years working in this with this main goal, they have built a very interesting ecosystem involving different stakeholders in that territory, from producers, from 2 cooperatives, one cooperative from sugar sector and the other cooperative from cereal sector, but joining this initiative with technological centers, with research centers, with some academia centers that collaborate all together in trying to get closer the economy to the primary producer, but also to the students, to the researchers. So I think the cooperation is a way of increasing the benefits for the primary producer through joining activities. As a summary.
Thank you very much for your answer. Very interesting.
Yeah.
We can continue, Lara, with the more questions.
Yeah, we have.
We cannot hear you, Lara.
Sorry, I was saying that we have one for Eileen, and it says, what is a short supply chain? And then we have another one, what is the need for a short supply chain, and how is this affecting retailing and consumption?
So what is a short food supply chain? I gave the working definition that we have in our project, which is trying to minimize the links in the supply chain from the primary producer to the consumer. So have less intermediaries such as wholesalers, distributors, or large retailers such as supermarkets. And the second question, what is the effect in the retailer, is that in the models that we have found, the retailer is an important intermediary that we don't we take them into account, but they are usually specialized retailers, small retailers, local retailers of specific local products, or can be also online retailing, which is we found in our models a very promising and increasing trend, in particular among current younger consumers or more educated consumers, or consumers who don't have much time to go to the traditional retailing. However, there are still traditional short food supply chains like farmers markets, open markets, or even on sales on the farm, which can be combined with agritourism, which is another type of model that we found. And another type of model that we have also promising is the community supported agriculture, where the consumer is taking more active participation in the production itself. I don't know if that answers your question.
I'm sure you have. Well, thank you very much to all of you for your collaborations. We have no more questions for you. I'm sure that interesting synergies come out of this great workshop, great networking to all of you. Andrea, just to conclude, what about those question and answers? The question and answer panel. Do we have any question for the audience?
Yes, we have another session of interactive questions. So I'm going to share my screen. It's just 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you can also log in by scanning the QR code. Or you can go to www.menti.com and enter the code. Okay. Just 1 more minute. So we wait for more people to log in. Right. We're gonna move to the first question. Which, in your opinion, are the main economic, social, and environmental benefits of a short food supply chain? Increase the farmer's income, better connect producers with consumers, meet demand for safe and quality local food, reduce environmental impact on agriculture, all of them. Let's see what you think. Great. Seems like all of you agree that all of the answers below are correct. So that's very interesting. Next question is, which, in your opinion, are the key determining factors for the potential success of short food supply chain? Consumer preferences, awareness, education, guidance, and engagement, networking, cooperation, and partnerships between farmers and other actors, technology integration, digital processes for traceability, communication, marketing, and trade, training and dissemination, digital and marketing skills. Well, we have a winner, which is networking, cooperation, and partnerships between farmers and other actors in the supply chain. Thank you very much for participating in the interactive questions. Now I'm going to pass it on to Lara again, so we can conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you to all the speakers and all the audience attending this great workshop. We hope to see all of you in the coming months. So remember, we will be sharing this the video of this workshop and the presentations in the Sisters project website, so you will be able to access and see everything again. So thank you so much. See you next time. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you to all of you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.